doing out there today? Thank you again for tuning in. It's me, Sophia Alexandria. I had a beautiful day today. Very busy, but good. And I hope you guys are out there having a fun day and a safe day at the same time. Anyway, let's get straight to it. My topic today is about deal breakers. Wah, wah. Yes, deal breakers. So I've had some people reach out to me and ask me about deal breakers. So my thoughts on deal breakers in a relationship. The first absolute never must accept is abuse. I don't agree with any type of abuse in any form whatsoever. Physical abuse, mental, emotional, none of that stuff. Those are very, very dangerous things to mess around and play with. And if you see any of those signs at the beginning of your relationship, steer in the other direction. Any type of silent treatment, manipulative behavior are all red flags in a relationship. But of course, when I'm talking about deal breakers are going to be different per person, because everybody has a different view on things in the way that they see and perceive things. So I'm trying to speak more generalized, but at the same time, everybody has their own set of boundaries of what they will and will not accept in a relationship. So abuse, definitely not. And on most things, especially important things, I would say you need to agree for the most part. Or if you've already found out, something that may be opposite of what you're thinking and you may feel strong about it, talk with your partner and see if there's some type of compromise. Now, if neither of you are willing to compromise on that issue, that may be a sign that you may need to go in another direction. Now, for me, I personally do not believe that there is one set person for me. I'm not saying to be with multiple people at the same time, but I'm saying that I believe any relationship can work if we choose to work it. I don't believe necessarily that there's one specific God-given or universe-given person for me. I believe that we ultimately have the choice in who we choose to be with and how we want to spend that time with that person. And it's up to us to find ways to make it work. Now, there are situations where we can clearly see that this is not going to work no matter, what we try. It just depends on the person to person. With that being said, deal breakers are going to vary for everybody. For the most part, abuse, definitely do not accept. Think about your goals or where you want to be in life, and if it's super opposing to what you believe or something that you really feel this is what you should do, then maybe you might need to try to find somebody else or become more open to other opportunities. Another thing that I feel that we need to consider when we're talking about a deal breaker is if we ever lose ourselves. If that person, you get to the point where you cannot be yourself, you're forced into somebody that's really not you, that's not you, it's taken away who you are as a person. If you're being stripped down to be someone else, then definitely not. You shouldn't be made to feel like you have to be someone else, or you shouldn't be so switched around, I guess, in who you are as a person in a relationship. Now, do not get me wrong. I believe that life is a journey of learning and life is a journey of growing. So, with that being said, we do encounter interactions, experiences, and people, which causes us to grow more into who we are or who we should be. Don't confuse that with not being authentic to yourself, because I have grown by the many people that I have met in my life. Different experiences, different encounters have all taught me things which has caused me to develop more as a person. So don't get those two confused. If you're growing and you're growing positively, or you're growing in a way where it is positively or healthily influencing yourself as an individual, that doesn't mean that you are losing yourself. Losing yourself means basically you have become a totally different person, where it affects who you are in your core, who you were called to be, that inner being that you have that is totally switched around. And even when you know that you're not who you are, if when you're doing something it feels weird, it just feels so out of place. But also don't confuse that with stepping out of your box and welcoming growth, because growth can cause you to be uncomfortable, and you may feel like you are out of your comfort zone, which you may be out of your box. So pay attention to what it is, but you will know if you have lost yourself, or if you're growing, or if you're being challenged to something that's going to make you better. So another thing is, if you're constantly arguing with someone all the time, you can never have a peaceful conversation, or peaceful conversations are rare. That's not healthy at all. We shouldn't be arguing to the point where most of our relationship or interactions are always negative, or we can't get along, or we're always fussing and fighting. So no one's called to ever do that, or to be in a relationship like that. So if you do have that, it's best to stop now, because that is a flag, especially if this has been time. You've had months after months to rectify the issue, but still it's headed the same way. Either one of you should be at the point where you have grown from that situation, where you shouldn't be arguing, nagging, so negative and fussing and fighting. There should be some type of growth. I can see if you started off arguing and then you realize you talked about it and you're both growing from that, and you see the progress. I'm not putting a timeline on it, but if you're after months after months after months, we're two adults in a relationship. There should be a time for healing for that. We have to grow from things. We can't continue to walk in that same circle, or else it's just it's pointless, it's purposeless, and so therefore we should walk away. If you've done your part, and hey, you say to yourself, hey, I've owned my mistakes, I've stepped up to it, and I'm not the one trying to argue. I'm trying to understand. I'm being patient, I'm listening, I'm hearing. I'm trying to compromise where it fits, not trying to be willed into someone else's will or way or direction. But you know what I'm saying, we can be mature enough to make the decision to know if there's a time that we should compromise or be willing to be flexible, because a relationship, if you think about it and if you know it, is not about us. It's about the interaction between the two that are trying to connect. So a relationship is never going to be just about us and about what we want. And again, I want to say too, when we're in a relationship, we have to think unselfishly, because the moment or the point in which we reach that we feel that everything has to go our way, it's no longer a relationship. It's just a ship that you were on by yourself. And so no one should ever be in that. So sometimes we do need to sit back, take a look at ourselves and reflect, self-reflect, and say, am I trying to be too spoiled? Am I demanding too much? Because a relationship is never going to be about yourself. It's going to be about the other person and how both of you are connecting together. And when you have a relationship, you have to figure out how things work together to make it work. You can trace that back to science and chemistry and relationships between elements and all of that stuff. If none of the stuff did what they did together, then it wouldn't have produced something else. So basically apply that to your relationship. It just can't be what you want by yourself with nothing else contributing, or nothing else giving, or you giving to someone else in the way that you should, or they need you to. So think about that, self-reflect, make sure you're growing from any arguments So we've talked about abuse. We've talked about constant arguing, no negativity, lots of negativity, no healthy balance in the relationship. What else did we say so far? So goal oriented. Also, another big one for me is trust. If you are in a relationship and you cannot trust it, that means you're in something that you don't need to be in. Now, there could be reasons why you shouldn't trust it, but if you figure that out and you haven't developed your trust since that time, then maybe it's a time you need to walk away. And then also, that could be a sign too that there's some healing that you need to do internally when we're always constantly, especially if we're going from relationship to relationship and we have that same trusting issue. Oh, I have trust issues or whatever. Well, there's a time out to stop being that way, or to stop having trust issues. We shouldn't just carry that on with us like that's a badge of honor or something. It's not. So that means we need to take the time to self-reflect and see what's going on the inside, why we can't trust anything, or we can't give someone a fair opportunity. We need to look within ourselves, find out what it is, stop it, heal, grow. That's what we have to do in that situation. But if you have experienced something in your relationship where it caused you maybe to lack on trust, forgive it. No one's perfect. You may need, depending on what it is, and if you feel in your gut or you feel in the inside that that's done, you're done with it and you can't, depending on what it was. But if there's opportunity for you to give it a second opportunity, but in any situation, just forgive regardless, period. No matter how big or small something is, just forgive. But whether you want to give that a second opportunity is up to you. So if you feel that this is something you want to give a second shot at, then do it. Forgive, don't bring it up, trust. And then if you find that you cannot trust again, then maybe that time you need to walk away, because or else we're going to be repeating the same cycle, the same situation, walking in that circle again, and that does no one any good. It doesn't do you any good. It doesn't do your partner any good. So trust. If you can't trust somebody, that's a sign you need to walk away. If you are being abused, that's a sign you need to walk away. If the things that matter the most to you are you can't find a compromise, or you can't find an agreement on, maybe that's a sign you need to walk away. Too much negativity and unhealthiness in a relationship, that's definitely a sign you need to walk away. And if you can't be who you are called to be, definitely walk away. So those are my deal breaker tips. I hope this can help somebody, but I don't have any like specific things, because I can't be specific for you. You have to be specific for yourself. But generally speaking, these are deal breakers across the board, and it should be for anyone, because when it comes to you changing who you are and not being who you are, then definitely you should walk away. So deal breakers vary from person to person, but generally speaking, these should be some of the ones that should go across the board. So anyway, talk to me, thumbs up, subscribe, and guess what? I'll holla.